What's good, YouTubes? Back at it again with another sampler how-to. Today we're going to be talking about the E5000 Ultra. Some basic functions, pretty much how to sample a drum break, chop it up, use the MPC 1000 to put it on pads, create a preset on the E5000, save a preset, get into some other cool functions along the way, I'm sure. So I'm just going to wait until the E5000 boots up all the way, and then yeah, I'll get right into it. So the first thing we want to do is come down to sample, hit manage, and in sample we're going to hit new, and it brings you into this sample create screen. Okay, so yeah, let me find the drums that I want to sample. Okay, so I grabbed those drums. So let's go ahead and hit keep. So yeah, sample edit. Whoops. That's what's happening. So the first thing I like to do is I like to kind of keep a safe version of this in case I want to go back and grab different stuff. So I'll go to manage. What am I going to do? I'm going to manage. I'm going to go name. So yeah, let's rename this. I'll call this one drum. Alright, drum. That's going to be my original. Okay, and the next thing I'd like to do is make a copy of this. Actually, we can truncate this first. Okay, so yeah, if you go back to edit, go to utilities, and then F4 is truncate. Go ahead and hit truncate. What we're going to do now is we're going to take away that little beginning and the weird outro part that I got, and just have meat and potatoes on this. So that's pretty good. You can zoom in with the F4 key. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to go back into truncate and go for the end now. So that looks to me like the kick right around here. Cool, I'm good with that. So what we did was we just kind of got just that loop. Perfect. Next, we want to go into manage, and I'm going to copy this out. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and I'm going to name them as I copy them because I know I'm going to look for a kick, a snare, a hi-hat, and a ghost kick or a ghost snare if there's one in there, kind of like I did on last year's MPC 1000 video where we sampled drums and chopped them up. That's the whole goal on this one. So let's start by copying. So we're going to do utilities copy and hit OK, and then we're going to call this one kick. So okay, kick. Okay, now we're going to go and copy this again, copy to a new sample. I'm going to hit snare. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy it again, and I'm going to call this one hi-hat or hat. And I'm going to go and copy it again, and I'm going to call this one ghost. Great, so now we have what we want to do. We got 4 different things we need to chop up. So let's go back to the kick, and let's only make this into that first kick hit. So utilities, truncate. So you can magnify this a bit. Maybe we'll keep the kick and the hi-hat for now, and then if we really wanted to, we can go cut the hi-hat out later. So I'm just gonna scroll to the end. I'm gonna zoom in on end. And that's cool, okay. So I'm kind of like listening to it at this pitch, just because that's where we sampled it, but later on we can pitch it up and down or make it faster, slower, stuff like that. So we got a kick. Let's go to snare. I'm going to take that second snare, so go back into utilities, truncate, go ahead and wipe to that snare, zoom in on the start. Okay, you can zoom back out, and then you can go down to the end, zoom on the end. Cool. Okay. We got a hi-hat coming up. Let's get a hi-hat. Oops. I got truncate. Okay. And then yeah, I can magnify a bit. I think I like this little hat. Or maybe this one? Oh, this one's cool. Let's see which one's cooler for now. Yeah, I guess so. Okay. So zoom in on the start, and then zoom back out and go to the end. Oops. Crazy, man. Zoom in on the start. Okay. Alright, and then what we got? A ghost? Okay. Go to the ghost. Let's find some little pickup note that we could use. I mean, that's dirty, but we'll try it. Let's see. Thought there was something else in there. I don't know. Let's try to find it. I guess that is it. It's pretty dirty, but yeah. That's what it is. That's what we're hearing in there. Little ugly little clip of a kick. Okay, so hit OK. So now we have four things. We have a kick, a snare, a hi-hat, a ghost. Alright. There's so many more editing tools in here, and there's so many more ridiculous things that you can do. Let me go back to the beginning just real quick before we start placing these things on our original. I'll tell you why I bought this thing. I bought it specifically. I always wanted an Ultra because an Ultra has this thing called beat munger or munger. I don't actually know how to pronounce what it is, the feature is called, but check this shit out. Beat M right here. This is gonna do like some of the most authentic trip hop sounding stuff that I've ever come up on. So what it does is it analyzes your loop, and then it kind of lets you put these non-destructive breakpoints in it. So I'm not gonna get totally into it, but yeah, if you're doing trip hop stuff or even jungle and drum and bass and stuff like that, the possibilities with this beat munger function are like absolutely ridiculous. So I might have to make a whole other video on like just what this is on. But yeah, it does full music samples. It does beats and drum stuff. It does a bunch, and this is actually why I got this, because this kind of like functionality is something exclusive to E5000 Ultra, E6400 Ultra, any Ultra, 4XT Ultra. All the Ultras have it, and it's super fun, badass. But anyway, let me cancel out of here. I'll show that another time if anybody's interested. Main goal is to take these 4 drum hits, place them on pads or keys if you want to do that. Do with keys and stuff at home, but I'm sequencing this whole thing with the MPC right now, so it's super good, super fun. I'm gonna take these 4 samples, make them into a preset. So what you want to do is go into manage, and then you want to figure out what you want to place. So in this case, I'm going to start with a kick, okay, and you hit place. Right now you can set this all up manually, but the easiest thing to do is, since we do want them all in the same group or the same preset, I'm gonna leave group on just G1. Okay, original, I'm gonna hit the pad where it's gonna stay and it's gonna live. If you wanted to do like multi-pitch kicks, multi-pitch snares, you can set this up differently, but I'm gonna start simple right now, it'll make sense. So I'm gonna hit, this is where I want the kick, and then I'm gonna page over, and it gives you a high and a low MIDI note. I'm gonna say that is the highest and that is the lowest. Okay, and if I hit place and I go over here to preset manage, that's where my kick is, and it's nowhere else. Boom. Okay, so let's do that to everything. Let's go back to manage, and let's now go to snare. Okay, so snare, I'm gonna hit place. Again, keep it in group G1. Original is gonna be here now. See, if I hit any different pad or any different key, it would start pitching that thing, and then that same sample will be all pitched all weird and stuff. So just hit the pad where you want that original pitch to be, and it'll be a lot easier to mess with it later on. Again, the high note is going to be that same note, and that low note is going to be that same note. So there's only one snare now on this whole pad thing. So place, and I'll do the same thing to the hi-hat. So I'll hit place, and I know I want my hi-hat here, so I'll do the same thing. Okay, hit place, and then the ghost. Okay, place it. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it in group G1. I'm gonna go to the original, which would be here, and then high, and then low. Did I do that wrong? Let's go back and try it again. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so now if I go into manage my untitled preset, I could do the same kind of dealio where I go in and name it something. So I'll just name this, just for now, I'll just say drum. Okay, so now we have a preset name. Okay, inside the preset, there shouldn't be anything in here until I got to the 4 pads I just mapped. Yeah, cool. All right, now here's where it gets tricky, because I'm coming from an Akai background. The E5000 just functions differently. Honestly, it has a lot of functionality that's meant for maybe like keyboard players or synth players. This thing has a lot of like non-drum, like musical synthesis type of functionality. Even though it sounds amazing on drums, a lot of the kind of things that you can do on here, or that it's kind of meant to do, I think, is like meant for a keyboard. So I'm always gonna do stuff like with pads and stuff, and I'm really interested in mostly chopping up drums and things like that on samplers, first and foremost, and all the rest of it comes secondary. But here's how to do stuff on the E5000 with drums. So go to preset, go to edit, and then in here is where you're gonna have a bunch of the places that you're gonna set up, like choke groups or polyphony levels or effects and different things that are saved within your preset. In this case, our preset is called P000 drum. All right, and that's all of our stuff. The first thing we're listening at is that when I hit a pad, it's automatically referencing the ADSR envelope inside this preset. So the first thing that we want to do is go into edit, and we're going to go to edit voice, and we're going to go to utilities and voice select. All that meant is we're going to pick the pads. If these are all full of sounds or whatever, you can do different things on each one of them. If, for instance, if I wanted to change the volume on just the hat, I'd have to just select the hat. It doesn't treat the whole thing like one big program, so it works a little bit differently. So I'm going to go ahead and hit voice select, and if you just hold down the 4 pads that you want, that's the easiest way to get in the habit of saving. You could always hit all, but guaranteed there's going to be something in there along the line that you don't want to mess with. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to mess with these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It highlighted them, okay, and I'll hit OK. Now anytime I hit anything, whatever I'm doing on the screen is going to work to everything that got selected just now. So for instance, if I go to volume, it worked on everything. Yes, that's what I'm going for. Okay, so let's go back to 0 dB. Okay, and first thing we can look at is tuning. Tuning, you can do key transpose or coarse tune. Right now they're both going to do the same thing. So let's just go ahead and pitch down a bit. Cool. Pitch down 5 semitones. It's at 2205. It sounds crunchy. I'm telling you, the converters on this are clean and fat, and right now you guys are listening to it in mono because I'm recording it on my stupid iPhone, but this is tuning. Anytime that you see the red light down here on page, that means there's more stuff going on the page. There's chorus stuff, voice modifiers, all this and that. There's oh, group. All right, so for right now it's on poly. Everything's gonna play over itself, but you know me and drums, I'm all about the choke group. So scroll down and you have all these mono choke groups, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I'm gonna go to whatever, mono choke group I. So now nothing's going to be able to play over itself. It's just going to be one monophonic voice. Okay. Amp envelope. Okay, if you go over to the first page of amp envelope, this is how you can set your releases. So again, right now it's on like note on. Everything's really choked unless you hold it. Okay, so let's change that. All you have to do is make a super long release like that, and now it's kind of almost like a one-shot mode. And the envelope in this is like ridiculous. It's actually like an envelope times 2. So the first row of attack, decay, release and stuff is actually the note on. And then if you wanted to make a separate envelope for when you release the note, you can do that as well. It works really cool for synth stuff and even like vocal like stuff. For drums, I'm going to leave this alone for today because it kind of opens up a whole new world. So let's just concentrate on amp envelope. There's more on these pages. Oh shit, filters, right? So I'm always on this 4-pole low pass. The filters on this are insanely musical, insanely cool, and there's millions of them. Well, I mean not millions, but like literally massive amount. So 6-pole low pass, that's pretty cool. So let's just hear what it does on a kick. The filters are so badass. I'm just gonna put the filter on a little bit just to have the vibes, just for now. You can then go into filter envelope, and you can, again, it's a little bit more realistic to want to use this on bass or synth samples because it'll move the sample a little bit more. I don't really want the drum hits to have an auto filter type of envelope applied to them, but that's on the 3rd page of the amp and filter menu. So what else is going on? Submix. All right, so yeah, in this one, amplifier is also where you set submix. Okay, so if I page over, right now it's on main, and that's like the dry submix. And even though I'm recording in mono right now, you'll still be able to hear. If I go out submix 1, I have submix 1 set up to be a dual effects processor. If I go to master and I go to effects, my effects engine is enabled. You can disable it if you want. Why would you want to though? The effects are so badass on this. And then effects A and B, just the ways to edit them and set them up. So the first one I have right now is a room. They have all types of different stuff. So let me just go back to room for now like I had. And then you can exit out of here and go to effects B, and there's a flange on it. Okay, so let's go back into sample edit. Right now sub 1 is set up for those effects. Okay. You can kind of hear it. I mean, I can hear it in my headphones. Almost up. Alright, so let's go back to here. pretty radical. Alright, what else is going on in here? So the LFO and aux. This is pretty rad. This works with chords. Chords is a pretty much massive patch bay kind of a setup where you can have a bunch of sources and destinations for everything. So let's just say we wanted to use the LFO that we were looking at right here, and we wanted to make the shape of this LFO a sine wave, and we wanted to use that LFO1 to modulate something obvious like pitch. So we can use LFO, pitch, and a percent. And now you're using that to modulate pitch. There's a million different sources. Check this out. LFO 1, 2, up, down, side to side. I mean, it's insane. I've pretty much like let a loop, kind of a sequence play on here, and just went through here the first time I did it for an hour, and it was just insane the amount of movement and cool musical stuff that you can do with the chords window here. So yeah, you can modulate effect sends, you can do stuff with your mod wheel and a sustain pedal, you can do stuff with both envelopes. Every point, attack, decay, and release of the envelopes can be used as a source to then modulate things such as pitch, glide, chorus amount, start of sample, it's just ridiculous, end of sample, stuff like that. So let's say that we wanted to sequence something. Okay, so I have my MPC here. I can then go into my MPC window and set a tempo down here around 80 something, and then I can make a little 4-bar loop, and then I can make it loop and see what my timing correct is on real quick. Let's make it kind of funky. Alright, so check it. Okay, so yeah, even though there's no audio, well, the only audio coming out was that click, but let's turn that off. Okay, so now I'm using the MPC 1000 to send MIDI to the E5000 to then run this sample over and over, or the sequence. Okay, so I would pretty much get to that point, and then this is when I would go in and actually start messing with the voice setup. So tuning, let's go back and hear what the tuning sounds like. Okay, pretty tight. Yeah, you can go into stuff like amp and filter, and now for instance if I wanted to really check that filter out, I could do that. Okay, I could do stuff like really set up that amp envelope. Okay, so let's go back to like that super one-shot kind of a deal. That's how it would sound if you first started off. You'd have to come in here and be like, why isn't my sample playing out? And then yeah, just set the release. You can set a little short. Or you can go longer. Or you can go all the way, kind of like a one shot. Boom. Yeah, and on and on and on. So let's say we loved where that was at, and I can actually save the sequence on here and name it something and then make an associated save on here. So if I wanted to save this P000 drum, it's those four things, I'm gonna hit export, okay, and then I'll scroll to a blank bank, empty bank, an empty bank, B31, hit OK, and now anytime I go into disk browse and I go to browse and I go to banks, I'm gonna see all these banks of stuff that I've ever saved. Low Tech Larry, Larry Test, MPC sequences 1 through 99, Larry Kit, and there, boom, the last one is today's, which was drum. Okay, so I can load and do stuff with it. So now that we know this is saved, that I just saved this into the hard drive that's in here. It's an 80 gig hard drive, and you know me, I got short little truncated samples, so I mean I got space for days on there. I could load that up and combine presets and do different things, but check this out. Now we know we got that saved. Now I feel really good going back into sample manage and showing you some other wild shit that you can do. Okay, so for instance, stuff like resampling and changing the sample rate and the bit depth and being able to modify things a little bit. Massive tools in here. So I'll go through some of them. Tools 1 is where we got the loop type. Right now I have it off. You can do all kinds of looping stuff. I'll show you a quick example. So turn loop on. Tools 1. Okay, so you can set where the loop is at, right? So check this out. If I go to start, and I go to like end, I'll just turn this into like a trip hop deal, right? So now I can go back into preset manage, and as you could tell, there, like, it's endless. I could just get some air back there to kind of go back and forth if the sample was short. I can do trippy stuff like that. Once you patch that into the chords area, you can actually modulate that and have it do weird stuff. It's insane. And then obviously with synths and music stuff, the looping is just invaluable. It's like the whole point of how this thing sounds so cool is that you can set those nice loops and what the loops do and stuff. Sample rate convert, pretty spicy. You can set the sample rate and then the filter type. So if I wanted to do something like this and then filter, you get a couple options. You get crunchy, you get smooth, you get creamy, you get best. So let's see what crunchy sounds like. Hit OK. Immediately cool. Did I want to do that? No. Look at this. You got an undo. Okay. Back to that high res 2205 snare. Sounds kind of cool with that little looped kick. But anyways, I'm safe to turn all this stuff off. Shebang. And this one too, because I'm sleepy and I'm gonna have to continue on this a different time. So I'll talk to you guys later.